Hey everyone, as you can see we're already balls deep in this one. Originally I wanted to get this running with the factory 2-barrel carburetor on it, as you can see right yonder. However, mice have prevented me from executing that plan. Most of the vacuum lines that come off for all of these dealios for emissions, you know, we got the exhaust gas for circulation stuff here. Basically, it was going to be way more trouble than it was worth trying to get it to run this way. I have a Holley, or I have an Edelbrock intake manifold and a Holley 600 that came off my dad's GT that I'll just end up using here because it'll be a lot easier and more simple that way. I also have a set of long tube headers pictured there. They're going to go on this just to eliminate all the smog pump stuff. Get rid of these log manifolds, as you can see right there. Not really going for power, mainly just going for ease of getting it running, I suppose. It's going to be a lot easier to get it running without all the smog stuff on it. And I have all that stuff just in case I ever want to put it on. Luckily, we live in Iowa, and Iowa doesn't have vehicle inspections. They don't have smog testing, they don't have vehicle inspections, which is very lucky for me. All right, everyone, we're into the 82 GT for the first time. This is pretty surreal for me. I don't know if I've ever seen any Fox body that's unmolested underneath, and I guess this would be the first one. As you can see, we still got the cat on it, factory wide pipe. I'm assuming this here is also catalytic converter. Factory cat back exhaust, it looks like, all the way back. Silly tag on the cat, E2ZE, it's an 82. The thing I find interesting is that there is no cat on the driver's side. There's only one on the passenger side, which is there. And then this soup box looking thing. So first thing we're gonna do, I know you guys probably don't want to hear it for some of you purists. We're gonna take this factory exhaust off. I'm gonna try not to cut it. I'd like to preserve it in case I ever want to put it back on. All right, so we got the middle suitcase catalytic converter, whatever you'd like to call it, sitting here on the bench. Earlier today, my dad was up here helping me, and he jokingly said, "What are the odds that we find mice living in the exhaust?" I kind of laughed it off and, haha, yeah, really funny. But look what we got. We got fucking mice nest in the cat. Like, why? There's so much piping that you have to run through to get to this point. There's like 10 feet worth of piping that they have to get through to get to here. And they have a nest in there. They were living good. All right, guys, back in the shop. It's the next day. Over the night, we made some decisions, did a little bit of thinking. Obviously got all the front accessories off, got the water pump off, smog pump, the alternator, and power steering pump just chilling down there. As you can see, this motor's pretty dirty. And I was gonna clean it up, just leave it in the car, and you know, then I was thinking, well, if it's greasy, it's probably leaking from somewhere, and like the bottom of the pan, or the oil pan is just covered with caked on grease. Looks exactly like the block does right there. A little bit close up on that action right there. Pan looks just like that, so I assume that the oil pan gasket's leaking. It's probably the original gasket, so I think what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to pull it out. Right now, the only thing holding it in is the motor mounts and the transmission. Everything else is off of it. Obviously got the headers in last night. Not that it's going to matter now. So yeah, now we're going to get the transmission out of the car. Then we're just going to pull the motor out. Leave the bell housing on the engine. It should be a little bit easier that way. Then we'll get the engine pulled out and get her on a stand and start tearing her down. So we'll get the transmission out, we'll get it on the time lapse, and get the motor out of this pig. All right, we got the motor out of the car. As you can see, she's a dirty old girl. Got a little bit of grease on her. The side of the motor isn't nearly as dirty as I thought it was for some reason. I don't know why. So it must just be the front seal that went bad. I would assume, because right there is perfect. And right there is not. She's pretty filthy. Obviously still got her swinging from the old cherry picker. I could be wrong, but I want to say that this motor was gray originally. It still has the stickers on the pan, the pan's gray. I was told that Ford didn't change until gray engines until 83, but this one's a very late 82. It was made in May of 82, so very possible she could be an early gray girl. So now we're gonna get the bell housing torn off it, clutch pressure plate off, get it on a stand, and clean it up. All right, folks, we got the engine out. She's sitting here on the stand. I did find out where all the grease was. It was on the other side. I'm assuming it's a pan gasket issue then if it's on one side, not the other. The crank spins counterclockwise. So the windage goes this way. It's gonna blow it all out. It doesn't look like it would have came out the dipstick tube. I mean, it's the whole side of the engine, so I'm assuming it's probably the pan gasket. It had the original clutch and pressure plate on it, and well, from what I can tell, pretty solid wear. Good thing I didn't try and drive it because like the throwout bearing and the pilot bushing were kind of worn out. This clutch is getting pretty close to the end of its life, but she still had some miles left, not a ton. No heat checking or hot spots or anything like that. Whoever drove this car, Chris, knew pretty well how to drive a stick apparently. And now here we are. What I'm going to start doing now, I'm going to pull the harness back as best I can. I have it unplugged up here for the headlights and everything. We're just going to pull it back, get it out of the way so I can clean up some of this dirt. I'm assuming there's some good paint hiding under here. You can see the K-members covered in grease. Sway bar as well. Obviously got your run-of-the-mill mouse turds. But it should clean up pretty good, I'm hoping. Right now, since I still have the dash out, it's the perfect time to pull like the clutch cable out, throttle cable, pull the brake booster out, repaint that. I was gonna try and hold off on this for a little while, but I figured now would be the best time as any to at least get this part of it done. What I'm probably gonna do with the motor, we're just gonna reseal it, take it apart, make sure the bearings and everything are good, make sure there's not a whole bunch of ring taper in the bores. She did have some miles on her, but they were pretty good miles from what I can tell. So like I said, we're going to reseal this, paint it gray, put it back in. I might end up painting the engine bay, but we'll see how that goes. If there's still some good paint under here, we're just gonna run with it and go. But just to update you guys on what else is going on. I started buffing this side of the car. I did it in steps just so you guys can see the progress that I'm making on it. This quarter panel is pretty much done. Hi there, guys. I'm gonna end up painting these sill panels, louvers, whatever you want to call them. I'll paint them black, as well as the trim around the glass here and the trim around the doors. I don't know if GTs are supposed to be like that, but I know that Cobras and pace cars were. I think it looked better that way. I'll end up painting this trim black as well. I've seen some factory GTs with this stuff black. I've seen some of them painted body color. This isn't the only one I've seen painted body color. Right now, like I said, that quarter panel is cut, buffed, polished. This door is just clay barred and buffed. Still has some haze in it. And this fender is just clay barred. Pretty clean. I got most of that dirt out of it, but still a lot of oxidized paint. You can see that pinstripe pretty well right there. I'm just gonna keep chipping away at it. Right now, I'm just waiting for the dye to get here for that dash. I got a can from National Parts Depot, but it ended up being the wrong color yet again. That's the color that I painted it. That's the color that it's supposed to be. This here is bad. That's what it's supposed to be like. So I'll just have to bite the bullet and order it from LMR. I didn't want to spend $60 for 2 cans of dye, but that might be what's going to have to happen. Next after that, gonna get the dash dyed, get it back in. We're gonna get this motor resealed. We're gonna get some tires on it, and then we're gonna take it for a spin. Like I said, I was hoping to get it running before I tore it this far apart, but right now, the barnyard revival just isn't really what I'm going for. If I was just gonna flip this car, I would have just threw it together how it was, cleaned it up a little bit, started it, woo, celebrate, and then get rid of it. But I plan on keeping this car forever, for as long as I can have it. So it just made more sense to do it the right way this time, so then I don't have to deal with it leaking oil all over the place and overheating all the time and everything. So we're just gonna bite the bullet, get it done right the first time, and go from there. So the very next thing we're gonna do, we might tear the motor down first, but for sure we're gonna pull back this harness and just keep chipping away at that, get that cleaned up, and we'll get a time lapse going for that. But for now, that's gonna be it for this video. Thanks for watching, guys. Y'all take care now.